Bulls Nation, today we had a game against the Golden State Warriors, the second game with this brand new look team to see if we could gel a little bit further in today's game. And although we did have a better game overall for the Chicago Bulls, in my personal opinion, there are still some growing pains. There's still some issues that the Chicago Bulls need to air out before we can go and really compete with some of the other teams in the East and in the West as well. And against the Golden State Warriors, with Stephen Curry returning, the Chicago Bulls simply could not handle them and faltered in the fourth quarter. So without further ado, let's talk about some of the positives and the negatives out of the Chicago Bulls game in this video. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show, and welcome back to another video. Today, we've got the Chicago Bulls versus Golden State Warriors game reaction. The Chicago Bulls with a game against a very good offensive team with the return of one of the best offensive point guards and one of the best offensive players of all time in Stephen Curry. And overall, with a brand new team, the Chicago Bulls tried to gel together, but today, although it was slightly better, was just not enough in my opinion, and we still need to see a lot more progression with this new team. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls in today's game. And before I go any further, again, when I talk about the positives and the negatives of the Chicago Bulls, especially when you have so many brand new players coming in, still trying to adjust to the team and gel, I take all of this with a little bit of a pinch of salt, the way that I explain things. So at the end of the day, when you talk about the offense was good for the Chicago Bulls, that's going to the point where it's good for the team that we have at this point with the games that they played, and it can be 10 times better than what it is. When I talk about the defense is bad, in retrospect to all these new players coming in, the defense is bad, and it can be better than that, and it will be better than that. So everything I talk about, just keep in mind, I am keeping into consideration that this is a brand new team pretty much. From the starting lineup to the bench, we have new players all the way around. And I understand the patience that's required for a team like this to gel. The game against the Golden State Warriors, the score was 116 to 102. The Chicago Bulls, look, to be honest, from quarter one to quarter three, this was a very fun game to watch. If you were a neutral watching this game, you would have saw some of the best offensive games out of both teams, to be honest, that you would have liked to see. Obviously, in the fourth quarter, we crumbled as usual. The Chicago Bulls always crumble in the fourth quarter, and today's game was no different. But we saw some very good offensive-minded games today, and the scoring for this team was very balanced, and it shows by how good our offense was. Again, in the fourth quarter, we could have done a lot better. That's only why we scored 102 and not 120 like we usually do when we have good offensive games. But I know the Bulls could be a lot better than this, and the Golden State Warriors took advantage of Stephen Curry returning. Stephen Curry was the lifeline of this team, let's say. As soon as Stephen Curry came back, this team, from what it was 4 games ago or 3 games ago with their losing streak to now, it's a completely different team. It really is. Stephen Curry really is that good to change the entirety of the team just by his presence alone. And he had a great game as well. So in the end, the Golden State Warriors deserved this win, and there's not really much else we could say about that. And I think the Bulls need to do a little bit better. But again, we are only 2 games in. We still have a lot of time to gel. We have more than 20 games to go. We do have some opportunities to go and get some wins. Of course, with the next few games coming up, you would have liked to see the Bulls get this win. But when you're outmatched and you play worse than the other team, you're going to lose games. I'm not going to be frustrated or flustered about that, because I know this team could do so much better. And some of these players within this system can do a lot better than what they are. So with that being said, let's move into, I guess, the main types of things that happened today. What I really liked about the Chicago Bulls is that we passed the ball to Vucevic a lot cleaner in today's game. Now, the turnovers of the Chicago Bulls is still a massive issue. I believe we had 20 turnovers today, or 19, one or the other. Probably could be more than that, to be honest. And that is very poor for the Chicago Bulls. Again, we are leading the league in turnovers. I guess these trades don't fix that. We are still leading the league in turnovers. We are still turning the ball over at a hefty amount. But getting the ball to Vucevic was much better in today's game than it was in the game against the Spurs. That's a good positive to take away. Another good positive was that when we moved Thaddeus Young into that starting lineup, I thought our starting lineup played a lot better with Thaddeus Young in there. That doesn't mean Larry Markkinen isn't an important part of this team. I think Larry Markkinen got the shots that he needed coming off of that bench. But I guess with Vucevic and Larry Markkinen playing, you're taking away a massive part of our defense as well, with 2 7-footers guarding a power forward and a center. Sometimes it doesn't work. Against some teams, it might work. Against teams like the Golden State Warriors that like to play small, it wasn't going to work, and it didn't work. So Larry Markkinen coming off the bench, I think, was a good move by Billy Donovan and the Bulls. I still think he could do a lot better coming off of that bench than what he did. But I don't think he had a terrible game today at all, which is a great thing to see if you're a Larry Markkinen fan. The bench might not be always what people want, but sometimes you could thrive off of that bench. I think Larry Markkinen might be able to do that as the #1 scoring option off of that bench. So very good to see. We didn't miss Kobe White too much. That was something else that I noticed. Ryan Arcidiacono had a very good game replacing Kobe White. I'm sure Kobe White would have contributed in this game as well, don't get me wrong. Again, there was no defense played by any team until the 4th quarter. So Kobe White would have had a field day in today's game. But Ryan Arcidiacono did a very good job off of that bench to try and, I guess, limit the hurt of not having Kobe White in there. So I guess that's a positive as well. And the last positive is that Vucevic in 2 games has been very good for the Chicago Bulls, and we have not seen the best out of him yet. He's a player that's trying to gel. He's a center. He's trying to do a lot of things. He's still moving the ball. He's still getting his opportunities. But he's still not that guy that in Orlando. He's still gelling. He's still trying to communicate. He's still trying to understand the positives and the strengths and the weaknesses of this team. And in those 2 games, he's still putting up big numbers for the Chicago Bulls. So those are the positives I take away from this game. There are a few positives that you could take away. And obviously, you had players like Patrick Williams score. You obviously had Satoransky score a little bit more than usual. Again, Daniel Tice's debut was exceptional. Troy Brown still played all right. There are a few things in this game where you could say that they're positives. And of course, there were some positives, and we'll talk all about those in the individual performances. The negatives about this was our defense. And again, very similar to the Spurs game, the defense of this team is very bad. And again, you say that, we still have so much opportunities to try and make this team a little bit more united based on the defensive end. Team chemistry, very important for the Chicago Bulls with 5 new players coming into the team. You expect that there will be some miscommunications. There will be some lack of understanding of where to be on defense. I saw a little bit of that with Draymond Green today. Draymond Green, we didn't know how to guard Draymond Green, and he had his highest 3-point percentage or highest 3-point makes all season. Obviously, the pick and roll defense is very poor. Stephen Curry had a field day with the pick and roll defense the Chicago Bulls brought to him. And in the end, these are the things that you pay for. And it happened with everyone. Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre, Poole. You had even like a bunch of those players were like that. So yeah, it was a tough one to swallow. The defense wasn't great, and it is frustrating to watch. But hopefully you can see a little bit of improvement. Pick and roll defense has been a big issue for us all season, but hopefully we can see a little bit better than what we saw in today's game. Now let's go to the individual performance. At the end of the day, we didn't have a terrific game. We still have some players that need to gel. But overall, I am still very optimistic of how this team can be. I'm looking beyond this week, to be honest, because we're versing the Utah Jazz, the Phoenix Suns, the Brooklyn Nets. These are elite teams, and the Golden State Warriors played some very good basketball today as well. So these are the very tough teams to beat in the NBA. And again, we're on a 4-game losing streak now, but hopefully we can pick up one of the wins against those tough teams. That's what we're going to need to do to kind of keep ourselves alive in this playoff picture, because versing tough teams like those teams and losing to all of them is going to be a very, very, very big drop-off for the Chicago Bulls. And if we're going to be a player or a team that needs to make that play-in tournament, we need to pick up a win here and there against those good teams. Let's talk about the individual performers. Enough stalling. Patrick Williams, 14 points, 4 assists, and 6 rebounds. A great game, in my opinion, for Patrick Williams. He got very good mid-range shooting in. Wasn't really sticky to the 3. He was a little bit more aggressive than that. Played terrifically well. And defensively, again, he was guarding Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins had a very good game. 21 points for Andrew Wiggins. So in the end, you can only do what you can. I thought he matched up very well. I thought his mid-range shooting was elite in today's game, and I'd love to see him use that mid-range a little bit more often. I really think he could be a very dangerous threat if he is consistently aggressive. So 4 assists as well for Patrick Williams is pretty good, and of course the 6 rebounds. By now I expect that from him every night. But really good to see him get his playmaking in as well with those 4 assists. He's finding his way, and I think when he finds his way, he will become a very good player for this team. Thaddeus Young, 10 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds. Not the best game for Thaddeus Young. I think very similar to the Spurs game. Despite having 9 assists in that game, Thaddeus Young wasn't terrific in today's game, but I definitely think he suits that starting lineup more than Larry Markkinen because he can provide a little bit of defensive help for Vucevic, who is someone that is not really mobile enough to be guarding a young athletic center like Wiseman. That's why Wiseman had a very good game today. Vucevic is not really that type of guy to be guarding Wiseman and to be able to keep up with him. So Thaddeus Young provided a little bit more of defensive help. Again, I think he played Draymond Green better than what Larry Markkinen would have. And at the end of the day, that's just how I saw it. I think maybe we should keep experimenting, but we shall wait and see if Thaddeus Young is really the answer in that starting lineup or not. One game is great. We saw some good things out of that one game, but we need to see a little bit more. So let's see what happens against the Phoenix Suns, and let's see how Thaddeus Young performs there. Nikola Vucevic, 21 points, 6 assists, and 9 rebounds for Nikola Vucevic. Only his second game for the Chicago Bulls, and he's putting up very solid numbers for the Chicago Bulls. Again, we're not seeing the best out of Nikola Vucevic. This is only his second game. He's playing very well, but he can do so much better than this. And that's why I'm very optimistic. That's why I'm looking forward to what he can bring in the future. Because I think in the end, he's playing well, but he really can be better than that. And that's the exciting part. That's what makes me feel very optimistic about this team, how we can play with Nikola Vucevic well adjusted, knowing the team inside and out, and being able to get the plays that he wants, run the plays that he wants, facilitate in the way that he wants, and also get he's scoring the way that he wants. All these things is going to be very interesting to see. His pick and pop game is so elite. It really is. His pick and pop from the mid-range, honestly, no one's stopping that, especially if Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic are both hot and they're both scoring on all cylinders. I don't think anybody can stop that. And if you add Larry Markkinen to that mix as well, there's some good shooting in this team. If we are hot, if we are good from the field, if we start off well, we could seriously see some very damaging offense. But again, the defense is my concern. It's not going to be the offense for me. Zach LaVine, someone that I think needs to do a lot better than what he did today. 12 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. I'm not happy with Zach LaVine's performance today. If he is seriously that hurt by his ankle, he said in an interview that if he can contribute 50-60% of in the game, he will. I don't agree with that. I really don't. I think if you can't provide what is necessary to go and win games, if you can't provide your scoring touch, if you can't provide a little bit more defense, if you're hurt, if your ankle is hurt, in my opinion, there should be at least one game where he sits out to go and get rest. To be honest, if Zach LaVine didn't play today, I don't think the Bulls would have really missed him. And that's not something I want to say from our All-Star. I thought Zach LaVine was really bad today. I really do. And again, it was his lack of aggression in the first quarter. It was that he was very well guarded as well. He couldn't really get open. He couldn't really find the right shots. He took very tough shots. He made some. He missed most. 4 assists is not bad. He did have turnovers as well. But again, this is Zach LaVine, the All-Star. This is Zach LaVine that was putting up 30 points not too long ago. I understand Vucevic is in the team now, and he's not going to be getting 30 points every night anymore because there's just not enough offense for every single player to average 30 points. For Vucevic and Zach LaVine to average 30 points per game, it's just not going to happen. There's not enough game time for both of them to do that. But 12 points for a player that's averaging 28, it's not great. And he played 32 minutes. It is very difficult to say that he had a good game in my opinion. I definitely thought he has to do 10 times better than that. If we're going to see the partnership of Vucevic and LaVine that we all really want to see work, I think Zach LaVine needs to step up. We can't play passive just because Vucevic is here. You still need to be the guy on this team. Vucevic is a great piece to have around. Zach LaVine still needs to be that guy. And if he can be that guy, Vucevic will get his buckets no problems. So Zach LaVine needs to be the guy to step up, in my opinion. Satoransky, 14 points, 8 assists, 2 rebounds. I thought Satoransky played very well. I'm not going to lie. Again, the 8 assists is where I find the good game from Satoransky. 14 points is a very nice bonus, but the playmaking for Satoransky is something that I think we need to continue to see. At the end of the day, when Satoransky is open, I want him to take the shot. And that's exactly what he did. There was very few times where he threw himself into a shot where he couldn't make. And again, it does happen. There were some, I think he got blocked one time, and I also think he did a reverse layup that went in, but I was stunned that it went in, to be honest. And at the end of the day, Satoransky is a very solid NBA point guard. We still need another one. I still think we need a level with Satoransky. I think we need a point guard to start and Satoransky to come off of the bench, or vice versa. We need another point guard. And we need someone where if Satoransky comes off, the drop-off from point guard is not effective. We don't have the drop-off. We have a maintenance. We maintain the level that we're at. And when that point guard comes off and Satoransky comes on, again, we maintain. We keep it at a very similar rate. We do need another guy similar to Satoransky. Again, that's why many people want Lonzo on this team, because we need another playmaker. And that doesn't mean Satoransky is benched off of this team and he's not supposed to play anymore. I would quite like to see Satoransky and Lonzo Ball be the point guard and backup point guard of this team. I would love nothing more than to see that. So, in retrospect to Satoransky's game today, I thought he played well. I think he could do slightly better. I really do. I think he can do better, but I can't ask too much more from him. Larry Markkinen, 13 points, 1 assist, and 6 rebounds. For 22 minutes played, I can safely say this is not a bad game for Larry Markkinen. I really think he can do better than this, though. I really think he can be a 20-point-per-game scorer if we give him the shots required. Again, not much attention to Larry Markkinen. That's the big thing here. He's not going to be... Especially if he is in that starting lineup at times with Vucevic and Zach LaVine, Larry Markkinen should be the guy that's open. He should be the one that's open. And if we can get him the ball when he's open and he can make those shots, he's going to be very valuable to this team. Probably more valuable than a lot of our players that we have currently. But in this game, he made his open shots. He got to the paint. He was a bit aggressive. 13 points and 6 rebounds is not bad for 22 minutes played at all. And I think he was our best bench player today. So fair play to Larry Markkinen on a good bench performance. But I think he could do a little bit better. And maybe that's just my high expectations, but I really think he could do a lot more than what he did today. Daniel Tice. Debut for the Chicago Bulls. And I thought he played very well. Again, he's going to be a fan favorite for this team. 6 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, a defensive anchor. He got some blocks in this game. I really thought that he was definitely a fan favorite in today's game. I really think he's making himself out to be, just in one game alone off of that bench, a very valuable asset. I really liked the game that he played. Again, I'm not expecting Daniel Tice to drop 20 points every night, but he said in his interview he wants to do what he did for Boston, and that is play defense, be that defensive anchor. Off of that bench, he was our defensive anchor. He was by far our best defensive player. I think he deserves a little bit of praise. Troy Brown had 5 points and 1 rebound. Not the best game from Troy Brown. Again, the last game against the Spurs was much better than this one. But again, with 17 minutes played, I expect a tad bit more. I understand that he is a very good defender. We saw a little bit of fouls from him today. He has ability to play make. Yeah, he has 0 assists. So I want to see those aspects of Troy Brown develop. And with more minutes, he might be able to do that. It's all about consistency. With the Wizards, he barely played. So it's very difficult for him to just come in and be consistent. It's going to take time for him, like a lot of these players. But I have the faith with the ability that I've seen from him, even in today's game with some of the layups that he made. I really think he can be a very good player coming off of this bench. And the last player I'm going to mention, Ryan Arcidiacono, 5 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds. I thought Ryan Arcidiacono played well. Again, we didn't miss Kobe White because Arcidiacono came in and played solid. Was again a hustle guy. And yeah, that's all you like to see from Ryan Arcidiacono. He's definitely the type of point guard that you'd like to bring in if there is a player injured, because he brings everything to the game. He can score, he can defend, he's a nuisance, he can play make. I think he's a very solid, he was very solid in today's game. The must improve for me is Zach LaVine. I think that's very simple to say. Having 12 points and 4 assists for an All-Star, you just have to put it as facts. That's a bad game for Zach LaVine. I understand he's hurt. I understand he's taking tough shots and they're guarding him very well. But this is an All-Star we're talking about. If Bradley Beal was in this situation and he was having 12 points and 4 assists, everybody on the Wizards was saying that's a bad game for Bradley Beal. So you can't say that this is a game for Zach LaVine where he played well. It's just not the case. He did not play well, and it just must be known as that, and he needs to pick it up in the next one. And the player of the game is Nikola Vucevic with 21 points and 6 assists. His playmaking was great today. His offense was great today. Obviously, his 9 boards is not bad for him. I think he could do better than that, to be honest. But 9 rebounds, very good stat line for Nikola Vucevic. Again, the only weakness with Nikola Vucevic was defensively against a very mobile and athletic Wiseman. He did struggle defensively. And again, we know what we brought in with Nikola Vucevic. He's not an elite defender. We know that by now. He's very underrated defensively, but he's not a defender that is going to stop many big men, especially the quality of a Wiseman that can make a mid-range, can be very athletic, can dunk the ball, alley-oops. Nikola Vucevic is not going to be the guy to stop that consistently. But offensively, he brought so much to the team that we lacked everywhere else. So I feel very happy to have Vucevic on this team. As I mentioned before, I think he's going to be a solid player for the Chicago Bulls, a really good player, potential All-Star as well next season if he keeps up this level of performances. And we still have a long way to go to see how well he can be for this team. If he could be better than what he was on the Magic, if he could be a better playmaker, better defender. We don't know. All these things we're going to find out with due time. And that's the team. The Bulls record is 19 and 26. Again, we are 10th or maybe even lower than that now in the Eastern Conference. We need to keep that level. We need to keep 10th to 6th. That should be our aim for the Chicago Bulls. We need to enter the play-in tournament. And unfortunately, losses like this are losses you can't afford. This is a team against the Golden State Warriors with a 3-game losing streak. Both teams came into this with a 3-game losing streak. The Golden State Warriors with Stephen Curry was better than the Bulls, and we again failed to capitalize on an opportunity to win a game with a team with an under 500 record. The next game's against the Phoenix Suns. Let's just wait and see. At the end of the day, it's very tough to predict how the Bulls will play. Usually there is a level of consistency in terms of how the Bulls will play. We know we're a team that can go all the way up in terms of elite standings in the NBA, and then we're also a team that can be seen as the last seeded team. I don't think this is a game that the Bulls will choke. I think the game against the Phoenix Suns will be a very close one, but I'm not expecting to beat the Phoenix Suns because of where they are. Look at their record. The Phoenix Suns record is elite. Like, look at their, all you have to say is look at their record, and you can see this is going to be a tough game for the Bulls. But we have to beat the tough teams, and if we can't beat the tough teams, we're going to be we're going to be at a very big disadvantage going into those games against Orlando and Memphis and the Raptors and all those teams where we see as winnable games. We need to beat some of these games that might not be seen as winnable, but the Bulls should try and win them. And we shall wait and see how that goes. Again, you should always walk into a team, game, arena expecting to win. And I still want this team to win. I still believe this team can beat the likes of the Suns, can beat the likes of the Jazz, can beat the like of the Nets. I think the Bulls can do these things, but it's very, very easily said than done. So let's see if the Chicago Bulls, I said that they can beat them. Let's see if they can go and beat them. We shall wait and see. Have a wonderful day. Take care.